We meet here tonight clandestinely to publicly, without fear or equivocation, say that we stand up and believe in science and math. It's really a thing. You can believe it. It's fine. Yeah. Let's give it up for science and math. This feels like a little vocation when we clandestinely gather, right? It just has that feeling. But seriously, tonight we're going to be inducting 7 winners into the Sloan Awards for Excellence in Teaching Science and Math, which with this prize will make you part of the 1%. Not because of the prize money, I mean 1% of the people eligible for this award. So yeah, I wanted to clear that up. But we can't think of a more important topic to gather for in 2022 in terms of a celebration of excellence in teaching in our public schools, excellence in teaching around STEM, and excellence in teaching right here in New York City. We can't think of a better way to celebrate. And while New York City is a big city of over 8.5 million people, over 1 million students in our public school system, a lot usually takes up the oxygen in a room. And you would know better than me what can take up oxygen. But a lot of noise happens in New York City on a daily basis, and we don't have time sometimes to pause and really think of what's important and really celebrate what's important. And tonight, we celebrate what we really fundamentally believe is most important in New York City, and that's our teachers. So give it up for the teachers of New York City. And while there's a lot of noise in New York City, we want to make sure that we efforts to make sure that we provide our students with the best STEM education the world can provide. So give it up for STEM educators. With that said, I bring up our first speaker, who's the president of the Fund for the City of New York, an educator herself as well, President Sviene. Lisette?
Hi, everyone. Hey. Before I start my remarks, can we just give an extra special thank you to Alder Rafael Bonilla? When Alder decided to come to the fund, and I knew he was going to be running this particular program, he just took it to a whole new place and has inspired so many people with it. And it's a reflection of how deeply rooted in community he is, but how brilliant he is as well, too. He's shy to say it. He's almost done with his doctorate, so let's give him some energy for that. But I want to make sure he knows that I appreciate it. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Sviene. I'm so proud to be here. I'm the president of the Fund for the City of New York. I will tell you that it is great to see so many people here that are in STEM careers. I was joking about it, but I actually feel really comfortable in this group. I'm married to a software engineer, and he's very linear, and I'm not. But what works about it is just the excitement around how everyday things work, right? This is the beauty of also being married to an engineer and to being close to engineers. And one thing I will say that I think is super exciting about this, I'm also a product of the public school system. I have gone through public school from first grade all the way through my undergrad. And I have to tell you that I know that teachers made a difference in my life. There's a reason why I'm a first generation, right? Puerto Riqueña, here in New York City, the first to win a Rhodes from a public university, and I am proud of that because that happened because of our public school system. So when people tell us that we can't produce the best students, they are lying, because we do all the time. And yet we still know that we can push and do better and increase the numbers who are doing well. But tonight is about those who have been doing that every day. So thank you to the teachers who were selected. If you could stand up real quickly, please. So everyone can see. Because a teacher that thrives is because they're in an environment that allows them to thrive. You cannot flex, as we say, without the support of an incredible set of school leaders, an incredible students. So I would like to thank them too. Applause for our school leaders. I also want to say something to all of the staff at the fund. Thank you all for being here. Everything that happens here is because someone decided to do a little bit more outside of their roles to make it happen. And so I want to thank them. Thank you, fund folks. Gracias. Thank you. Before I transition to our next speaker, I do want to say this one part. And it's to all the people who were part of the nomination and the selection process. Thank you. I don't get to sit and vote. That's really important. Aldrin and I, we do not vote. We feel really strong about that. We get the top people to come in and vote on that. We have former math teachers, physicists, you get all of them. They're all coming from all over. And they unanimously supported who is won today. And I want to thank our selection committee. If you could stand real quickly, please, so everyone can see you. And what I will say to all the students that are here, the selection panel is made up of a group of people who have taken math and science as a passion and interest and turned it into the most diverse and interesting sets of careers, right? So if you get a chance to meet any of the panelists, ask them about what was their kind of trajectory. I think it'd be exciting to hear that too. Well, now I get to transition to the next person. We are excited at the fund. We're very proud about being independent. We do not typically, the only, if you notice this, Adam, the only foundation we've ever really recognized and allowed to brand has been the Sloan Foundation with us. And there's a reason for it. Because we feel really strong about what are, the ethics, what is their commitment to that, what is the support, the freedom we have, right? All those kinds of things. So we're proud to say that Sloan is a sponsor for this. Sloan has the same passion that we have for this, and we're excited about that. And they also have a great president, who is Adam Falk, who is a theoretical physicist himself, former college president of Williams College, someone that has a great sense of humor, but is really happy to geek out with you at a moment's notice, all right? With that said, I really want to thank Adam Falk for being here. He's going to say some comments, but also for sponsoring this incredible event tonight. Thank you so much. Come on.
Good evening. I'm going to start by just thanking everyone at the Fund for the City of New York. We are deeply grateful to be able to sponsor, and that's all we do is sponsor. All of the hard work is done by the Fund and the Selection Committee, but we are deeply grateful to be able to sponsor these awards. They mean a tremendous amount to all of us at the Sloan Foundation. So thank you very, very much to everyone at the Fund. So as Lisette said, I'm Adam Falk. I'm the president here at the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. And I'm really humbled to be here with all of you this evening to honor some of the most important people in the city of New York, who are the teachers who are here with us tonight. So, probably haven't heard of the Sloan Foundation. What do we do? Well, primarily what we actually do is that we make grants to support scientific research in fields like astronomy and chemistry and biology and physics and geology and economics even. And so you might wonder, why is it that a foundation that sponsors research is sponsoring these awards for public high school teachers? Well, the reason is actually simple and it's straightforward. It's because at the Sloan Foundation, what we know is that we're never going to produce the next generation of amazing astronomers and chemists and biologists and physicists and geologists and economists if we don't make certain that every single person in our society has the real opportunity to participate in the exhilarating journey that is science. So let me say that again. Every single person must be able to participate in science. And the place that we make sure of that, the place that we make sure that every single person can participate is our public school system. So there are 1 million or so students in the New York City public schools. And if you do the math, that's about 1 out of every 300 Americans is currently a student in the New York City public school system. So think about that. This is where our future is being made. And it is our teachers who make that future. in their classrooms, with their students. So if a science curriculum is like music that's been written on a page, teachers are the players who bring that music to life, who make it sing, who give it meaning, who bring out its beauty, and who leave us hungry for more. That is what, each in their own way, the 7 extraordinary teachers we are celebrating tonight are doing for their students. But, and I've read the citations, their students aren't in the audience just listening to the music. Instead, their students are seeing every day that they can participate in science and participate in discovery, and if they so choose, decide to become scientists themselves. Let me tell you, it's great to become a scientist yourself. Every one of tonight's honorees has had this kind of indelible effect on the students whose lives they have touched. They've helped students to see wholly new possibilities for themselves, for what they can do, and for who they can be. There is no greater gift than that to give a young person. And this is why we honor these extraordinary teachers. And in honoring them, we also must thank and honor thousands of other extraordinary teachers, thousands in the New York City public schools, equally dedicated to their students, just as passionate about education, and absolutely essential to the future of our city and our world. So, congratulations to all of you, from every one of us at the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for the amazing work that you are doing.
Good evening, everyone. It truly is a pleasure to be here this evening. I am humbled to be in the company of such dedicated educators and fabulous students. My name is Contente, and I began my career with the Department of Education in 1997 as an ESL teacher. For over a decade now, I have been an assistant principal, and for the last 3 years, I have also supervised the special education department at the Queens High School of Teaching in Belrose, Queens. This past summer, as our special education programs have grown and flourished, I was tasked with the responsibility of securing special education teachers for our school. Hiring new staff is always challenging, as we never are quite sure of how it will work out, and if the individual is the right fit. I recall a very hot day in July as I went through the names and resumes of the staff who applied on open market. I was most intrigued by Francesca DiPietro's experience, credentials, and accomplishments. A 4.0 GPA both in her undergraduate and graduate studies, and the variety of teaching and leadership roles she has held for over a decade had me in awe. I was particularly impressed by her strength in co-teaching all of the region's math courses, as well as self-contained math. This was a need for our school, so I decided to call Francesca and schedule an interview. The first 2 times I dialed, the message I received was that the number was out of service. A couple of days later, I tried again and was able to reach Francesca, realizing I had been 1 number off. And boy, I'm glad we connected. From the first time we spoke, I remember admiring how articulate and confident she was. After our initial conversation, I immediately called my principal and told him I had found a perfect match for our school community. As a school leader, one of my primary goals has been to build capacity in the departments I supervise and to collaborate with my colleagues to establish a vision and ensure that as a team, we are consistently working towards that vision. Francesca has made that quite simple. From the start of the school year, the kids loved her, and she gained the respect of her colleagues. Joining a new staff isn't always easy. However, her positivity, kindness, willingness to support others, phenomenal teaching, and the warm classroom environment she has established are what the staff and students at the Queens High School of Teaching admire most about Francesca. Observing Francesca's classroom is always a treat. The students are intellectually engaged due to her extensive planning and activities that she tailors to their needs. Any parent would be thrilled to have their child in her class. The love, the dedication, the patience, the passion, and the excitement are palpable. In addition to her highly effective instruction in the classroom, the leadership she has demonstrated outside of the classroom is equally outstanding. Francesca is one of our special education liaisons and has provided invaluable support to her colleagues. She has mentored new teachers, and I've had the pleasure to witness growth of both new and veteran teachers in regards to their teaching skills, writing of individualized education plans, and knowledge of special education systems and policies. There are so many aspects of Francesca's career and accomplishments I would like to highlight this evening, which goes beyond what has been mentioned thus far. Francesca has been a facilitator of the New York City Specialized Teacher Enhancement Pathway, also known as NYC STEP, a teacher scholar at the Columbia University Stavros Niarchos Foundation, focusing on brain science, a session leader at the Bill and Melinda Gates Southern Regional Education Board Conference, a volunteer at Behind the Book, an organization dedicated to increase literacy for New York City children, Caring Circle, where she counseled children and adults who lost loved ones, and Connections, where she supported senior citizens. She has also received countless awards and honors, such as the Rinlaug Award for Outstanding Academic Achievement, the United States Gilman Scholar, Board of Trustees Scholarship, and Living the Mission Award, to name a few. I am sure we can agree that Francesca's path is admirable. She has truly touched so many lives. I'm excited to continue to collaborate with Francesca and celebrate her future accomplishments with her and her family. I would like to take a quick moment to acknowledge Francesca's colleagues from the Bronx, who she has worked with for most of her career. She has always spoken highly of all of you. Although the nomination of this award originated from your staff, I am most grateful to have this opportunity to introduce her this evening. Thank you.
Greetings to all. On behalf of myself, Emily Rumgren, and the entire Queens High School of Teaching, it's a privilege to be here today to talk about an outstanding, talented, amazing, and one of my favorite teachers, Miss DiPietro. I am so thankful and blessed to have a teacher like Miss D. Since I started the school year, she's both my algebra and advisory teacher. Miss DiPietro is a very untasked person. She likes to make sure we get through our lessons and ensure the agenda is met. But if more explanation is needed, without a doubt, she always helps. She's a very determined teacher who loves to encourage her students to try harder. Miss DiPietro attends school consistently no matter how she's feeling or what is going on. She always gives her 100% in class, even if the energy is not always there. She never fails to put a smile on anyone's face, and I mean that. But Miss D does not only help academically, but socially too. In fact, at the beginning of the school year, I was very, very shy. I would never raise my hand to answer the problem or question she was asking, even though I knew the answer. Now I could proudly raise my hand to give an answer, thanks to Miss D. And in fact, here I am today delivering this introduction. She is the best teacher I've ever had and that there is. So welcome, Miss D. Congratulations.
Are you guys ready for a challenge? Yeah. No. You don't sound ready. Let's try it again. Are you ready for a challenge? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So
students often tell me, well, I have an IEP, miss, and there's a pause. They continue the sentence, and they're like, that means that I can't do X or can't do Y. And at that point, I'm like, let's stop the conversation. An IEP doesn't mean you can't do anything. It just means that you do things differently or learn differently. It may be a different route than everybody, but that's what math is. Like, we all, take different ways to get to that the end result.
You got it, girl. That's it. Perfect.
So walking to her class is always very positive. Students are very well behaved and are very eager to learn. She creates an environment that is conducive to learning through differentiation?
So basically differentiation in the classroom, especially in my classroom, all stems from that student's IEP. An IEP is an individualized education plan, and it basically is a guide to how that student learns best, their services, their accommodations, such as testing accommodations, and basically how best to instruct that student. And from there, I also look at, what are other things, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their needs, and learning styles. From there, I take that and I then look at my lesson and I try to connect my lesson to each of those students' needs. So for example, it may be for one student that maybe one student may need a sentence starter in a portion of the lesson because that's what they're working on. They're working on explaining in math. Or maybe another student may need more time or may take more time writing notes. So that student may have scaffolded steps.
I recall looking at her lesson plan and thinking to myself, wow, this must have taken a really long time. She includes questions on her lesson plans and has various activities for different students. And you can tell that a lot of thought and planning goes into the lesson.
Does someone want to come up and try graphing? Lauren, come up. Go, Lauren, go, Lauren, go, Lauren, go, Lauren.
So a lot inspired me to be a teacher. Initially, I had a traumatic brain injury, a concussion, in my freshman year of college. And because of my experiences through that, where I basically had to relearn how to add, how to subtract, how to do all those things, I knew what it was like to not understand, especially because I knew what it was like to understand before. And that frustration that I felt when looking at math problems then, or even reading, I could really connect with students. So as a part of giving back, because I made it through that, I wanted to become an educator, specifically a special education teacher, and even more specifically, a math special education teacher.
It's very rare to find someone who is so passionate about teaching and teaching special education in the way that Francesca is.
Since this is about you, can you read Kalia?
Kalia says that it is at the intersection.
I want them to see the world from their perspective and not the perspective that someone else may have steered them. Like, I want them to see the whole world, not like, okay, well, you have an IEP, so you should only be looking at this lens. And I feel like a lot of students have heard that before or maybe assumed it, and that's most definitely not the case, that, they can conquer the world, and I always tell them, you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to put in that work and that effort, but don't let anything stop you.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here today. The Fund for the City of New York, Sloan Selection Panel, colleagues, administration, students, parents, friends, and family. Some of you who traveled from near and far, the Bronx, to be here today. Shout out to the Bronx. A special thank you to Ms. Cover for nominating me, for everyone who was interviewed to support my nomination, I know there were many, as well as Ms. Contente and Emily for speaking on my behalf today. I want to sincerely thank my family and friends for their unending support through all these years. As most of you know, behind every devoted educator is an equally devoted family that makes sacrifices for that teacher to do what he or she does best. My parents have supported all my endeavors since I was little. As a teacher, this continued and their support never wavered. My mom and Lino have both been understanding when I, like a type A teacher, would give up weekends to grade, lesson plan, and of course, write IEPs. Mom and Lino, I want to especially thank you for being patient with me, even when I needed to make one more edit at midnight to my lesson plan. To my colleagues and administrators, you inspire me daily by all of your hard work, creativity, and the example you set. And last but certainly not least, thank you to my students and my parents who are not all here, but whom I owe a great amount of gratitude. You always inspire me and push me to do my best for you each and every day, because you come and you do your best. I always joke that my students are like my children, and they are. The other day I had a student who stayed after school to prepare for his quiz despite being utterly exhausted. Like a worried mom, I told him to go home and get some rest, but he insisted that his homework was way more important. And it is those moments that give me life when I see my students doing anything they can to get back. Those are the moments I treasure and the reason I stay up late planning lessons, so that my students can be their best selves. I am humbled and honored to be recognized for doing something that I am passionate about. My passion for teaching began when I was little. According to my parents, I would line my stuffed animals up and teach them using a whiteboard. And I would even give them what today would be called an exit ticket. However, I called it my finale back then. Apparently it was a performance. And although it wouldn't be highly effective according to Charlotte Danielson, it wasn't that bad for 3-year-olds. Despite my toddler teaching stint, I am in awe of this moment because I never imagined this could be possible. About 18 years ago, I suffered a severe concussion that caused me to lose my ability to read, write, and do simple math like addition. At that time, I was told that it was unknown when the fog would lift and when or if I would regain my full abilities. It was devastating, but at the same time, it empowered me. I knew that I was meant to do more, and I didn't want to quit until I at least tried my best. After a year and a half of cognitive, occupational, and physical therapy, I began to recover, but never imagined it would be a full recovery. But it was. My concussion made me realize that I wanted to be a teacher because I can relate to not understanding and being frustrated. I wanted to share my story with my students to inspire them to never give up. And what better subject than math to teach? Someone said a good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. This is how I see my vocation. I go to work daily trying my best to inspire students to do their best, to create accessible lessons for all students, and to show students that no matter what obstacles are in their way, they can still succeed. Thank you.